Alright, it seems we have exactly doubled our streaming rate at this time, so we actually, it used to be for some time every 2 weeks on Sunday. Now we have done every week on Sunday, which is major major improvement. So yes, we are gradually getting back at this, and also did take the effort to download the game. It was something like 90 gigabytes. Yeah, and the computer even runs it, so it doesn't require AVX2 or AVX512, which tends to be the problem. That yes, it's a Xeon, but it's old enough Xeon that it doesn't actually run AVX instructions, no matter that you have 2 of them. It was amusing because first, like, yeah, let's upgrade the GPU so that we can play Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. No, that didn't help, because apparently playing the cutscenes requires AVX2. So yes, that went well, but we'll at some point upgrade the whole chassis, and then we will have AVX2 instructions as long as you want. So, but this game didn't require those, and it's quite new, and it even runs passably. So we are going to do some hours of City Builder today, as was the intent already, a bit more earlier, like during the May Day holiday, but in the end found time to actually start now. So in that sense, it's also very good now to go for it. So hopefully we actually do succeed. It mostly test that the game runs, and put enough effort in to get it like through some of the tutorials, so that know what things are available to a degree. So do think that worked well enough to start with. So welcome all, and thank you for joining, and let's gradually start the game and see about what kind of music and architecture we get. So maybe prefer still the EU style, because this has distinctly kind of like, it's not just universally like the SimCity series tended to mostly like apparently be modeled after American cities. This in turn, like, you choose either EU or US type location, and then you get different building templates for those, which is nice because it makes a bit more diverse, so that it actually looks at least like, having tried shortly, would not consider it as much continental as like British as far as the overall design goes, but we'll see. So let's get gradually started and see how well the game works for us. It has also very hopeful music, so let's turn the music on also. There we go. So let's switch to the game and see how that goes for us. All right. So we start a new game, and we choose normal difficulty. And then we have different maps available. So Tampere. It's very specific also, like for the local, very specific that you have separately a map of Tampere. Do not especially feel like a fan of Tampere today though. So then we have one that has very little land, and then we have one that is quite... The mountainous one might be interesting, but it's kind of like expense of going over the mountains, kind of limits the overall. Ah, hello there, Ruby. Let's greet you properly also on the big screen. Hello, always great to have you join us also. Alright, let's then continue with map selection here. Like that is at least quite like direct. You have lakes, but here it in turn is especially like space is at a premium here. Then we have the kind of aisle one. Do think this is interesting, like gradually expand to more of the aisles. So do think we'll choose that one this time. Not totally a fan of the Tampere map, which is actually apparently the software company that has made the expansion is from Tampere, so that explains why it's specifically map of Tampere. That was a bit surprising. Required content, so this requires the bridges and ports expansion, not totally surprisingly, because otherwise these seem to be mostly UK style. Lakeshore is very creative, we like that. We do not unlock all, and we at least continue tutorials so we can read them if needed. There we go. Ah, hello there, Reynard. Great to see you. See you, Mr. Fox. Alright, let's pause here and then also greet you properly as is the correct habit. Good to see you and certainly appreciated. So let's greet you also properly on the main screen. So indeed, welcome and good that you decided to join, of course. Appreciated. Alright, let's then continue with the overall game now that we selected the map and it actually loaded, so we are very much good to start. It's not new, it's more like very not new. This is actually head of the main wolf that lands Ikegava made So this is actually the last full suit he ever made, and do now and then take it somewhere. The bodysuit is quite hard to wear because it actually requires two assistants to get in, but do on occasion wear the head for streaming with base suits that match it nicely. So indeed, it's actually not not new, considering it's the last full suit Lance Ikegawa did, and he hasn't really done much in that respect for a good while. So yes, it's not new. It's more of quite old. Yes, do have pictures of the full suit. Can post a link in a second moment. There we go. Alright, yeah, it's a nice suit. It's unfortunately quite hard to wear due to the design being such that it practically makes a lot of use of the NFT fur, so it's practically stretched out around you, and it works otherwise well, but actually getting the shoulders on is like, yeah, you need two helpers, two rather brave helpers, and because the zipper is inverted, it's actually upside down from normal, which never quite understood. And due to everything being attached, also due to the zipper, because it's practically a single suit with the lining, with the muscle padding, with everything, it's quite hard to actually replace the zipper with one that wouldn't be upside down. So it's quite hard to actually finish getting on, because you have to first get the shoulders so that you can close the complete upside down zipper, and then you can get the rest into place. Hello there, Red Scale. So it's like it's very difficult suit comparatively to wear, because you have to have two helpers to actually get you in the suit, and they have to also dare to actually stretch it properly over the shoulders. So yes, once on, it's very good. It's practically, with the reticulated foam and the stretch fur, it's practically cool enough that you first get hungry and stop. So it's like, and you can't wear it outside in the winter because it's not warm enough. So yes, in some ways it's really good, and then it suffers from the issue that it's really hard to wear because it requires two helpers to suit up at all with the bodysuit. So tend to now and then only take this suit along, especially as a full suit. Indeed. This was also on display when at the previous Finfair Animus we had the kind of like furry museum with various historical items, so would also display this suit head and the skunk, because they are kind of like, yes, big names, a bit less common big names now. So would display this and the skunk head as kind of like important fursuits in that respect. So let's then, after some slightly tangential matter, let's gradually return to the game. So we got as far as having our game loaded all the way. So let's then see about starting out. We should have autosave every as many. Let's see if we can also get like more. Do not really care for the atmospheric piano, so let's see, like, can we get something else? Yeah, that sounds more like it had enough of the atmospheric piano. Yep, had not also tried the new one yet, so Cypresswood Highway, yeah, and then we have the kind of a few pre-laid roads, so. And this time we are going to try like a couple of things. First of all, we try to separate the kind of like so have like a medium road from here onwards, and try to actually separate the overall, like, let's have fancy beachfront apartments, and then in turn try to have the industrial area on the mainland, so that we wouldn't get constant noise complaints, which tends to be the most usual thing there is. Like, you have plenty of complaints about the noise, so do think that let's try to do this a bit smarter this time. Like, hey, how about we actually care enough to have separate areas in that respect, because it doesn't work terribly well with the industrial area in the middle of the residential, so that you get plenty of constant noise complaints, which tends to not result in happy citizens. So in that respect, let's try this way. Yes, have played now and then. Do not think have ever actually streamed this yet, but have played the first one a few times otherwise. Then we need to build a power plant, and we apparently have no other style of power plant yet. We can actually use wind turbines. How much do it they? Like for the it's kind of like, if we actually would try to survive only with the wind turbines, it might be difficult in the beginning. We also have like windmill that is even smaller wind, like 0 to 2 megawatts. So let's do the usual classical start, like hey, we have a coal power plant, which is very popular, but we fortunately have wind in that direction, so we can practically build it right here, and then wind takes all the unpleasant, because the average wind direction is in that direction, so it's quite good. So it goes out of our part of the map, so much better. Not our problem. And then we also need the kind of traditional, hey, how about we have problems with water? Alright, and then add road. Alright, that became attached with the road, so we can actually get rid or like connect that so that it doesn't show missing connectivity. Alright. And then we should have like the basic utilities in place, so we can start to actually, then we have to place the kind of, let's see what we can do with the sewage treatment. Is it currently only like hey, let's dump it in the right, we sewage outlet. So yes, water treatment plant requires like progress, so we actually then have to look at the flow direction, like put it downstream, so that looks realistic. Like, let's see what way the water goes. So it tends to be towards the shore, but not at least that way. So if we put it here, it should not very soon cause a problem with the freshwater intake, which tends to be the other like always great idea. How about you cause a new problem? Alright, was there some issue with the overall, like can we actually build a pipe from there? Alright, at least it's long enough. There we go. So now we should have also wastewater capabilities available. So now we can actually start placing buildings. And we are even trying to take into account the overall issue with the, and now we can make it a fancy waterfront building here, and then we should add some. First of all, we are going to try to make it a bit better, so that we also add the cycle path here, so that we hopefully improve the cycling infrastructure. so that we have cycle paths, and then we have another so that we actually have cycle paths and then another road. So maybe we try to have a bit better cycling infrastructure, because in the previous one that did, it was like on the Twitter thing everyone was complaining the lack of cycle infrastructure. There we go, and then we build another road on the other direction, so that you have more building lots. Alright, there we go. And now we can also place commercial, and we can finally use like the waterfront boutique option here. So there we go. So that looks rather good. And now we do have some housing here, even finished.
We're back and we're talking favorite drinks, and we're down to the final. Who will take the prize? Will it be kombucha or coconut yerba mate latte?
I still think it should be ginger ale.
Ginger ale lost to lemonade back in like round 3.
Or water. Water's still pretty popular, right?
Yeah, sure, if you're into crops.
True, so how do we decide which one wins?
The same way we decided all the others. Flip a coin.
Genius.
And the winner is... heads!
Congratulations to all.
It's always like this city is incredibly noisy, but now we should at least have partially solved the issue with the overall, like, alright, we have good electricity availability, and we have good water and sewage treatment availability, and now we do even have bike lanes available. Noise, we can even see the noise pollution, so at least it's less, because we have all the high noise pollution here, so we should have less in the residential. At least that's the idea for now. Alright, we did reach the first milestone. Alright, and immediately once we get the ability to have healthcare facilities, immediately it's the complaint that we are displeased how healthcare is being run. So considering we have pretty much solved the whole issue, so that we have quite a compact layout. So let's put the medical facility here, so it should service most of the housing. There we go. And then we have like low density waterfront business food. Alright. They are storing only 3 tons of food currently. Sounds sufficient. And then we should have especially more commercial, so let's see about building like most probably a bit further off additional. Additional commercial capacity. And then we should have high density residential. Or at least medium density. There isn't high density available yet. There we go. It also is pretty easy to build on the rather flat land. Now we should at least hopefully have better situation with the noise complaints. We should also at some point build a landfill, so let's put it also here on our very industrial part of the city. Maybe even build a bit more road. Like more, put the landfill here. And then define the landfill area. Which it didn't apparently yet define. Alright, we do at least now have enough landfill capacity. And then add more waterfront opportunities, which is pretty much what we are most probably going to do as far as the waterfront goes, because and then also we do not forget to expand the bike lane. Let's see how that works. Can we add this to the road? Apparently not. Alright, so it's let's make sure that it's connected with that. Alright. Now we have a bit more bike infrastructure at least. Alright, yeah, someone died there, so we should also found a cemetery. Unlike thought earlier, the cemetery actually is a positive thing, because would put the cemetery next to the industrial area, but it actually improves the area. So let's also have the bigger cemetery.
Welcome to Go Nuts Donuts, the best donuts in town. We've got grapes and crawlers and creamy, crazy, crunchy critters. It's a full-on horror show
Alright,
at
it's
Go
pretty
Nuts
big.
Donuts.
Let's do for now the
It won't last 5 minutes.
small one. Now they do even have,
Hey, Calvin.
as it was termed well in the game, death scare. So it's not health scare, it's death scare.
Okay, that's alright.
Alright, our industrial area looks quite a bit more convincing now, so
That's right, Clement. But apparently that's not all good news. We're joined today by an expert guest, Professor Nutblood.
Welcome, Professor. So a housing shortage is bad for the people trying to move here, right?
Humans are programmed to desire certain representations within ideological reward structures, which are entirely apart from the actual rewards enjoyed. For example, consider capital.
One final question, Professor. Is the housing shortage going to make me richer?
By certain metrics, perhaps yes, in the short term.
I like the sound of that.
But what we are discussing is the study of a statistical abstraction and its effect on the human.
Thank you, Professor.
alright, there we go. Hello there, Ham, let's greet you properly in a moment, so.
Temperature's a little low, so if you are heading out, don't forget your jacket.
There we are. Yeah, I do think it has improved. Alright, and indeed we do think also do think the game has improved a lot, because it has more things to it, because it was the problem was that the original game had like 10 DLC and the second one came out, it didn't have any. It's a lot like Crusader Kings 3 came out and had like 1/10 of features of the second game. It tends to be, especially with Paradox, you have to wait for like 5 DLC before the game is properly even like finished. Yeah, it's like the Paradox tends to first put the game out and then actually finish it, which isn't really fair, but it tends to be, especially some companies with the DLC do so that practically the game is finished only once the DLC come out. But indeed, good to have you join, and we are alright, we have done about an hour, so let's at least do 2 hours and see then how we are feeling. Alright, and there would be more demand still for low density residential, so let's keep adding here so we get like waterfront. And then we can add the bike lane down the middle again. Alright, and then we can add, because there's a lot of demand still for low density housing. So, how used is our fancy cemetery? Four. Alright. Yeah, that probably has helped. Right, we have lack of labor, but we have been certainly building enough new residential, so hopefully some labor moves in. So now we have also more demand for industrial, so would imagine that there should be enough workers then. Here we have the single direction carriageways, so we wouldn't especially want to make connection to only one of those. and add some residential here. Alright, and reach next level. So we get the signature building like the tea house, Fleur de Tea. And get huge amount of education related buildings. So let's build a small elementary school. Currently we have 0 students. Our education system is so amazing. Yes, at least it exists. They won't be totally happy that we built the road here, but we have to add the road, so... Alright, there we go. And then we can add a road here, because we have no buildings in the way, so it's better to add it here so that we do not get any unhappy house owners. Actually, that goes through the...
Welcome to Go Nuts Donuts, the best donuts in town.
Yeah, this works.
Crawlers and creamy, crazy, crunchy critters. It's a full-on horror show at Go Nuts Donuts. Bet you won't last 5 minutes.
We're back and we're talking favorite drinks, and we're down to the final. Who will take the prize? Will it be kombucha or coconut yerba mate latte?
I still think it should be ginger ale.
Ginger ale lost to lemonade back in like round 3.
Or water. Water's still pretty popular, right?
Yeah, sure, if you're into crops.
True, so how do we decide which one wins?
Same way.
Alright, and now we again even have demand for medium density residential, and now we can actually build it, so...
Very special winner, heads.
You're listening to Cold Wave.
A housing shortage is driving up prices in the area.
That's right, Glenda. But apparently that's not all good
Let's see how we are doing budget-wise. Do think we are not yet in terms of very balanced budget, but
Humans are programmed
actually it's
to
better
desire
than
certain
expected.
representations within ideological reward structures, which are
So with some
entirely
further
apart
growth
from
it
the
should be
actual
possible to have a
rewards
balanced budget with the current
examples
level of services.
Right, well, one final question, Professor. Is the housing shortage going to make me richer?
by certain metrics, perhaps yes, in the short term.
I like the sound of that.
But what we are discussing is the study of a statistical abstraction and its effect on the human.
Thank you, Professor.
It is a question of priority.
A chilly day with temperatures a little low, so if you're heading out, don't forget your jacket.
Let's see about the Vibe music channel. Alright, it looks like we are getting even some traffic jams, so most probably we should see about upgrading this road at some point, but it's like, do think it actually requires more space to place a medium road, so this will be an issue one day. Yeah, this will be an issue. We should probably like more of consider a parallel road further down at some point. For now it's not a huge traffic jam, all things considered. Do we now have students in the school? Yes, we do have some use of the school, so looks good. Alright, still demand mostly for more residential, so let's see about that. At least we do not yet need to build like a police station or such. To make sure we are very efficient, we even built the medium road, so then we can build additional roadway here for more plots. There we go. Let's see how our facilities are doing. Like, alright, we still have plenty of electricity, water, sewage capacity, garbage processing status, fair enough. Healthcare availability is also very good. We have no crematorium availability. Do we actually need a crematorium? Do not know. Do not do normal burial, please. we doing noise pollution wise? Very limited, which is good. Happiness appears to be good in the residential, so alright, new gas station, Löpö, sounds very Finnish. Do you think the new dev thing, at least some of it is from Tampere, so no wonder they also have the base map of Tampere, so alright, we do have like a petroleum facility here, which is promising, like fire-wise. Stores crude oil. Let's make that historical. We want to have the petroleum facility in place. Yeah, we should do something about traffic at some point, because we practically divided this in two, so let's see how the traffic load distributes further on to see where to add. So practically much of it goes this way. Here we have the new medium road, so let's see if we build additional medium road from here. From here to here. All right. Don't think our additional road did anything with the traffic problem, but they are actually trying to get, because it's like Most of them are turning this way, it looks like. We should actually have space here to upgrade that, if I remember correctly. Yes. Alright, it looks like we do not now get the invalid shape.
Welcome to Go Nuts Donuts, the best donuts in town. We've got grapes and crawlers and creamy, crazy, crunchy critters. It's a full-on horror show at Go Nuts Donuts. Bet you won't last 5 minutes.
Add road there and then zone the area so that we do not lose the road position. Alright. How many? Alright, 54 households, so medium density housing. Full of foods, very creatively named food store, full of foods. Yes. How about it? It's full of foods. That's still being built. Alright. elementary school now has 50, so we still have capacity. Here's our cemetery, which now has 11 deceased, so statistics. Our income is also increasing at least, but expenses are also education has increased since we built a Is there any tourism? Not really. Unsurprisingly. Alright, now we have more area for again only the low density residential, so we will at some point have to consider like increasing density, because it tends to be that this isn't a very dense way to place your population. Maybe the new medium roads help a bit with the traffic jams at least. Alright, and we have done about 1.5 hours, so let's do at least half an hour more. So, let's see. Can we build anything interesting additional? Yes, we can build the tea house. Fair enough. The only thing we can build is the tea house. Let's place the tea house by the water, so someone is not happy, but that's their problem. All right. Fire rescue. Police and administration. Yes, now we get to start doing the usual. So now we have fire station and small police station. We especially had this place kind of for the utilities. So now at least we have those, and that of course increased the expenses. So more taxpayers are needed as usual. You have a service. Yes, great. Now you pay for it. Alright. Let's see about adding more housing. Now there's again need also for medium density housing, so we can add some. So here's our first like high rise, indeed, like what, a dozen floors thereabouts. Alright, let's then see about building the next signature building, as we got the Riverside Grill. There we are. So now we have grill. Premium meats, subtly seasoned and cooked to perfection for an unforgettable taste experience await you at this restaurant, where people can enjoy meals in an elegant setting. So it adds 1% attractiveness citywide. Efficiency 109. Alright.
Welcome to Go Nuts Donuts, the best donuts in town. We've got grapes and crawlers and creamy, crazy, crunchy critters. It's a full-on horror show at Go Nuts Donuts. Bet you won't last 5 minutes.
Alright, Pop Musician Mansion. The terrace of this house is perfect for the parties pop star living here loves to throw. Alright, so a pop star wants to move in. Unsure if we want that kind of a crowd here, but let's build it if he insists. There's good space here, like we could of course consider building a separate road for the waterfront for. So let's do that actually. Like he gets separate waterfront spot. Good connections, you know. There we go. So Mr. Popstar has waterfront position right next to the sewage outlet. We are not dumb. Separate waterfront, alright. We are not very interested in that, Popstar or not, so there we go. And yes, the Popstar got very much waterfront to use, but it's next to the sewage outlet. Best viewers, don't you say? So how are we time wise? Alright, so still, as said, we'll do at least half an hour more and see how we are doing. Then Pop Musician Mansion, our Mr. Popstar. Household wealth, poor. Is that poor for Popstar or poor for whatever? So Mr. Orson Hopkins and Tyler Hopkins. Alright, we have child, teen and adult, poorly educated. So Angelina is apparently the Popstar. Notes paper. Employed at the paper mill, Popstar. And Mr. Teen is employed at Frank's Fish Sticks factory. Really? So our pop musician might not be very large, like celebrity, big time, because they work at paper mill. Really? Part-time pop star, maybe. At least they have a big house by the sea. Really, like they have big house like a ranch even, and then they work at the paper mill. Alright. Fair enough. And we need more industrial also, so let's improve our industrial. There we go. They are do think the exact model was moment will check. It was O'Neill D8 something as far as these go. Let's see. Yeah, O'Neill Epic 2 MMDL was the exact model for those. It's indeed very nice looking ones. Alright, now we are still could use a bit more, so let's build additional roadway between here for more. More industrial zoning. Alright, and now we are out of demand, so let's see about the residential again. No problem. Hopefully nothing too bad to know. It's especially for like cutting things. Alright, we got new signature building. A modern classic that puts smile on faces of its inhabitants. Yeah, it looks fancy. That's good to hear. It's always unpleasant. So very good to hear. We can also zone beachfront residential here, so Mr. Popstar or Mrs. Popstar who works at the paper mill isn't going to get to stay quite all alone. So and then we had the special building, so let's not forget about that. There we go. Looks fancy and has like a back garden with everything. That's quite fancy looking. And as said, we very much respected the Popstar and gave them the house right next to the sewage outlet, so beachfront. Building was apparently on fire because it showed very shortly, so do think that the fire station actually functioned. Efficiency 107%, clearly the firemen are quite motivated. Alright, currently we do not have too much demand other than low density residential, so let's see, like we could expand here right up to the border of this area for now, so
Welcome to Go Nuts Donuts, the best donuts in town. We've got grapes and crawlers and creamy, crazy, crunchy critters. It's a full-on horror show at Go Nuts Donuts. Bet you won't last 5 minutes.
there we go. Waterfront there, and then put normal residential to these areas. These we are not zoning yet. Why is this house condemned? Did we accidentally de-zone it? Do not think so. Alright, this is still on fire apparently. Are we actually getting the fire department? We'll see. At least we do have considerable traffic jam, so there should be fire service basically. Alright, easy solution. Let's build extra fire station, like add road and build fire station there. Then at least the fire is put down, because I do think we could in any case have some more fire coverage. So if we build a bit of road from here and add a fire station. Easy solution. Let's see if it fits now. Now we have an extra fire station and we immediately leveled up. Espresso on the go, Vesuvius Palace. Alright, and now we have fire station there, so let's see if the fire gets put out now, because we do have a fire station right next to the fire. That's one solution. Are the residents unhappy that it's on fire? They are content, so. At least we should now be able to put the fire out. Considering they are right next to the firehouse. Arriving vehicles, fire engine dispatched, alright, so. Alright, that also burnt down. Let's see. Hopefully the fire gets put out at some point, because we now have some burnt down houses. Fortunately, the fire disaster is also quite moderate speed. Water availability starts to be, it's still alright. How is electricity? Also still available. Unsure why we then have here not enough electricity. Alright, they lost the road connection, so let's try to correct that. Because we didn't need this for the firehouse, so that should correct our problem there. Yep. Alright, we need also, what's the purple? Office. So now we can build an office apparently. Yes. We can now zone offices, so let's see about like where to zone offices. Would put offices more next to the residential, because the offices produce problems, but they are different problems, so. Here's our new office zone. There we go. And then we also need pretty much everything else, including high density residential. So first big houses coming up. Let's add the road also there first. Alright, and now we can add high density residential, but not next to the industrial. So there we are going to build because commercial is again in demand. So they will complain less. They are still waiting for a hearse. To think that the small cemetery probably doesn't have that many hearses. Yeah. Can we like buy more hearses for them with an upgrade or something? Somehow do not think the firehouse really works as one would expect. They are already building new house there. Yeah, has this been put out? Yeah, it's just burnt down, so apparently having the firehouse right next to the fire worked sufficiently. Very good. Cheap and random. Yeah. That sounds like logistics. Alright. Alright, let's build more roads so we can zone more residential, which is in demand. Let's do the parking spot, including one, so we Alright, that was not quite the intent. Alright. And let's build medium density here and low density here. And now we are getting close enough to the landfill that we are not adding residential beyond this line, because not that many want to live next to the landfill. That never developed, so let's make it commercial. That had more demand. Alright, we are getting pretty big houses. Low rent housing, yeah. Projects. hopefully they will be in proper order here, because these look exactly like the kind of projects or tenements where you have the low income housing and then you get increased amounts of. Let's see if we have the crime graph, like do we have more crime in the tenements. Not really. It's quite close to the police station also. Average crime probability 9%. Yeah. Current number of criminals 0. Very nice city. Do we actually have any places with high crime probability? No. It actually is about as good as it can be. Alright, we could finish the beach front. There we go. And we are using the streets with the integrated parking, so we get less problem with that. Not the cheapest option, but there we go. That should fulfill some of the demand. And our pop star still, let's see, like, really, does the pop star still work at the... Yes, the pop star still works at the paper mill. Occasional pop star, maybe for karaoke. Extreme athletes villa. A villa fit for extreme athletes. It has everything a sports enthusiast would ever want. Alright, extreme athlete. Sure. Do respect the athlete more, so they get this side with the water intake instead of the sewage which we put for the pop star. And it even fits here. We have only bike path here though, so let's see. Can we place it here because there's a road? Not quite, because we do not have enough land, so. Alright. If we continue the road from here, like 1 square, would that be enough? Like, make maximum use of the beach. Or we could put it to think like build extra bit of road here. Let's see if the athlete is now fit. They do have also a parking lot. Yes. There we go. Let's see what they do have, like some kind of underground facility. Looks like they are a skater with plenty of skate ramps. Sure, Mr. Tony Hawk. Did we have any other unique buildings? To think we also had something else. Yes, Espresso on the go. Unique drive-in cafe. Let's put that to the office area. Because the office area isn't really developing, let's add the coffee shop there. Maybe that adds interest. PNG Media. Pteropus. 45 Green Street doesn't even have a name. Chirpy Tech. Alright. And then we have the espresso shop. Snafu Insurance and Tech-O-Mart. Alright. Electronics produces software. Sure. Alright, we have pretty much completed the beachfront here. We can also add a few houses there. Let's add residential in this direction. And hopefully reduce the traffic problems this way, that we add a road from here, so you can practically at least try to go that way.
Oh, we love the cheap and random flea market. We came here with the grandkids and we'll stay.
Oh, sure, I've been here before. Matter of fact, I was here last Tuesday.
Toaster works fine if you flip the bread.
Alright, and then we can add, in addition to the radio advertisement with the very memorable Reagan sound, we can now add residential.
Welcome to Go Nuts Donuts, the best donuts in town. We've got grapes and crawlers and creamy, crazy, crunchy critters. It's a full-on horror show at Go Nuts Donuts. Bet you won't last 5 minutes.
Now we have more area, and We still have a bit of demand, so let's zone a couple of these. There we go. And then we could add a commercial area in this direction. Alright, it's starting to look like, in the overall view, it's starting to look more like a city. Very nice, very nice. Demand for low density residential is even increasing, so let's add some. Apparently we actually intended to add commercial here, so let's correct that and add it to the next block. There we go. Let's not put right next to the highway here because it has higher noise pollution, so there we go. Alright, bike paths, at least the shore has bike paths. This is still apparently burnt out, so that didn't stay long either. Still a bit of demand for commercial, so let's see. Use the roadside ones also for commercial. At least they are going to complain less. Here we could probably at some point rezone this because it never developed very far, and there's the noise complainer just lives there. This never apparently developed, so we could make it offices. Not that offices are developing very strongly either.
This is an emergency broadcast to all citizens.
Hailstorms, alright, that we can't do much about, we just have to fix after a bit of hail. Sure. Cycled the other day in a hailstorm. It when you're going downhill with the hailstones flying at you, it tends to feel a bit unpleasant, would say. Alright. And there's again a lot of demand for residential, so let's see, we still have some undeveloped bits. Let's see how much this causes noise complaints if you put them right next to the road. Let's at least concentrate on this side so we do not have hopefully as many noise complaints. So build it all the way to the edge of the map. We do have single electricity tower here. Do not think we need that. Do think it's related to like that you could export electricity, would imagine so. There we go. Also add medium density residential. Let's see if that develops. It appears that also here is not very popular to develop towards the highway, so let's build a dividing way here and put something else next to the highway. There we go. Why did all of those houses get condemned? Let's make sure it stays residential. Apparently the whole thing was split in a very interesting manner. Alright, so let's make those rather like something else like commercial, because it's not going to be very popular to develop housing right next to the highway. Let's change some to medium density because it's desired, and we do have the really low density thing, for example here. So let's make that medium density so we get some development. We could also make some of the further ones down the beach medium density, because these are not very efficient use of space. So gradual gentrification of the neighborhood. And then add even more low density residential, as it seems to be in demand. All right. And then we for now continue with the, let's see if we get any fancy new buildings. It's been mostly like, yes, you always need more low density residential, so let's see how we are doing budgetarily. Are we? Yes, we are actually making considerable profit by now, mostly due to having added so many new buildings to tax. Let's see how is our fire coverage. It still looks good, at least. And how is the crime rate? Yeah, our crime probability is only 10%, so it's not the main problem currently. Administration. the school coverage starts to be of such a case that we should probably at some point build also a high school, because we have 1130 eligible for a high school, so let's build one. We have considerable modern high school, small high school. So now we do have also high school. And more low density residential is always needed, so it's kind of one of the problem which comes with the low density residential is exactly it's low density. We could expand by the waterfront in addition to our pop star, so
Even got your dang old denim leg garters for the boys who love that denim real good. You ever wear a denim vest? I'll tell you, girl, you will have them swarming. You'll see. Come on down to Denny's Denims. I'll set you up. Don't ask for Denny. Welcome to Go Nuts Donuts, the best donuts in town. We've got grapes and crawlers and creamy, crazy, crunchy critters. It's a full-on horror show at Go Nuts Donuts. Bet you won't last 5 minutes.
so we could build that a bit further. There we go. A bit closer, so would it be this spot? Yes. There we go, we have more zoning area, and here we get the waterfront style again. We would not especially want to zone all of that, because then we have to demolish houses when we make more roads. Considering we are quite budget positive, let's make the roads first. So and then we can add the bike lane by the beach. We have new transportation facilities, bus depot. Alright, we can add buses at some point. Good. Let's for now add like again a... Alright, this is actually parks and recreation. Alright, let's add a bike path by the beach. There we go. Now we have more residential. And make some of that waterfront. Let's see, would we need more fire coverage now? It's still like green, but considering how it goes with actually getting the fire trucks through, let's add a firehouse also here. Alright, for once industrial is in demand, so let's continue with our industrial expansion here. And let's see how our power and water facilities are holding. Alright, now we have demand for nothing. So we have satisfied demand for every kind of real estate. How's our landfill doing? Efficiency is 103%. Stored garbage, alright. Processing speed is actually almost keeping up with the demand, so alright, there's one with no car access. Should we like build one bit more of road or? Yep. So does our pop star still work at the paper mill like? There's also Silja line Färjan going. That was not the pop star, it was the firehouse, which is actually important. Here's the pop star. Now they work at Rust Bucket. Yeah. Very high-end pop star. So this is starting to look like a city. We have some noise complaints and should probably consider another another hair-sparing cemetery at some point, but otherwise it looks. And again, there's more demand for low-density residential, so let's keep building the beachfront. At least we are budget positive with all the tax income, so we can afford to push in this respect. So let's build this all the way. There we go. Mostly it's low density, but do think that gradually the density demand also changes. Let's also put here the waterfront style.
broadcast
There we
to all
go.
citizens.
A heavy storm is approaching the city, and the likelihood of hail is very high. Traffic slowdowns and damage to crops and property are expected.
Specialized industry. Alright. We can now build various like logging. We can also build a chicken. Farming, alright, we can build farming. Do think that would be quite fit still for the quite limited. And then we need to define the farm zone. There we have like a farm, so let's increase the farming area. There we go. Let's see how long the farm stays here, but considering the low density of the current construction, would think that the farm... Hello there, Briareus, let's greet you properly also. Considering the current low density, to think that it's not the most unrealistic idea overall. Greetings and good to see you also here. Right, it's not yet that late. We are coming up to. Let's do the 3 hours. 3 hours looks good, at least for half an hour more. So let's continue for now. We just build a farm, so all right. And indeed, thank you for joining, Priaris. It's always good to see you also join the stream. We have had a pretty nice viewership today also. Alright, let's see, we added a farm. Let's see if we add also, can we add like the livestock, so add a canal. We can also add a vegetable farm, textile fiber farm, inland fish farming sounds polluting. Forestry, or mining. Let's add a livestock farm also here. It's interesting when you add it, the tool is quite confusing, but then you use the area tool and then it works very clearly. So you just drag the point and drag the other point like that. Alright, produces livestock. And we again have high demand mostly for the low density housing, so let's continue here. Alright, tiny town. It's still just tiny. Alright. The Lobster Tail. Refined maritime ambiance, where the lobster reigns supreme, offering coastal culinary experience in every bite, all while enjoying your meal with friends or loved ones. Sounds good. We also got something else, but missed that. We got so good building that the game crashed. Alright, let's start that again, because it saves every 5 minutes, so we had no major loss. This is why I set up autosave every 5 minutes. Alright. Alright, and then we wait. Let's just push resume. Do think, let's see where we end up. Just load the newest save. Yeah, that's would say that's a lot of mods. Alright, let's wait for the game to start. We do not have quite the fastest computer, so it takes a bit to actually start up, but fortunately otherwise it has worked rather well, except currently apparently. It might have been also because we cancelled the road construction while had the city level up and everything else. Alright, loading. Let's see where we ended up. Yeah, we do have pretty recent autosaves, so let's just load that. And once loaded, switch back to the game screen. Alright, it crashes immediately. Let's see the older one, whether it's different, and then we do something else if it doesn't agree to not crash currently. So let's see about that, and if it doesn't work out, then we consider whether we finish here for today or do something else for a bit. It starts to be pretty good length in any case, so let's see. It did load, so the city and promptly crashed, which was not very nice. Not that it would be a major problem. We did get pretty good playtime already out of it. We need to then check if we can somehow make it more stable. At least it's very new game, unlike we played Dragon Age 2 previously, and it's like the problem with that is that it can't use more than 2 gigabytes of memory, so it's like if you have a 64-bit computer, it leaks memory and keeps crashing. In this case would be more of worried, because it's very new and everything, that it leaks memory or something else very useful. Let's see, load the older autosave. Let's see how that goes. And if it works, let's then save explicitly. Yeah, we didn't crash, so let's immediately save explicitly. And then we have a starting point that actually works. Alright, this was the point when we didn't have much demand for anything, so alright, we were finishing this, so let's do that again. There we go. And that dropped the demand for low density housing again. Should we consider building another cemetery? But yeah, let's check the electricity. Alright, we are gradually. And now we did progress, so this was what caused trouble the last time. The lobster tail, yes. Steakhouse, the authenticity of an American steakhouse, famous for its homemade barbecue sauce that turns every bite into an unparalleled taste experience and savor your meal in a warm and inviting atmosphere. You could also have friends with the lobster. Now it didn't crash, very good, so maybe the game could use still a bit of bug fixing. Alright, let's switch back to the game now that it works. Very good. Alright, we do have still enough electricity, but we could now actually try the wind power thing, so if we... Let's see, do we have wind? Do we have wind, does it tell where we actually have wind? Wind speed. Looks like we do have pretty good wind speed everywhere, so if we build wind power to the very corner of the plot. There we go. And then we need to build power line. Do we then need to build like electric cable to the windmills, or apparently not? What is actually necessary here, because it doesn't look like you can build the power line itself right next to them.
This is an emergency broadcast to all citizens.
A heavy storm is approaching the city, and the
Do you
likelihood
think we need
is
to
very
actually
high.
put a transformer
Traffic slowdowns
station
and damage to
here?
crops and property are expected. Citizens are advised to remain indoors until the situation passes.
So what is actually the idea? How do you get the power line to function? Because it's not like you can't actually build them right next to the windmills. Can we first like have the power lines go from one windmill to the other? Yes. There we go, and then we need to connect that to the town, so there we go, and do not think we even need anything else, so we can remove the rest. Good. Alright, do we now have more like wind power? Yes. So at least we can now claim that we are green with some wind power. So let's build new special buildings. We had the restaurants, so let's build some of those. The lobster one sounds like it should be by the shore. There we go. Probably fancy seafood dishes. Alright. And then we had the steak place as another one, so let's also build that one. We could also again listen to a different radio, like how about the smooth beat. It clearly, all of these are like quite easy listening to remember, especially Transport Tycoon had very nice music also. Alright, let's build the barbecue place. Do you think we could again use one in the office bit, because the offices are not developing that well. So let's use it for that. And we need more residential in general, so let's expand more. As the landfill is there, we can expand here quite freely, so hello, dear Jacks, let's greet you properly in a bit. Now we add we need all kinds of residential, so let's add medium density here, and even high density is in demand, so urban promenades, mixed planting. Mixed old town style apartment buildings. We can sometime upgrade some to old town. Let's try some urban promenades. Let's see how that develops, and then we add some projects, which is always popular. Alright, let's greet you properly. Properly, Jacks. good to also have you here. We are at least doing still a bit, as said, that it's not getting that late, so do think that we could actually still do sometime. Started quite in good time, so let's continue for now at least, and when we feel like, especially of course as have said it, one thing is when the suitor needs maintenance, but we are still doing quite well, so do think that could well keep going for a bit. How has Jax been? How was your May Day overall? Alright, let's see. Build more roads in that direction so we get more. More plots. We have plenty of demand still for low density residential. There we go. We could also upgrade some of the older into the old town style. So we construct our old town in the... Alright, nice. Very nice. So a lot of things going on. Spring is coming. Alright, let's see. We have some noise complainers here, but it's not surprising because they are do think right next to one of the main roads, but we should deal with that at some point. Let's see how our demand. Alright, we have less demand now for the low density residential. Let's still add a couple of bits. There we go, and then we should have fulfilled the demand for now. How is our water supply situation? Because we have only one water intake thing. Yeah, it's pretty big amount that it actually provides, so we have no problem. And of course we are dumping all the sewage back into the river in front of the Popstars mansion, so that should also be very acceptable. Here we have the Popstar, and does she still work at the Rust Bucket? Yes, as said, like maybe Karaoke Star, because they actually worked earlier at the paper mill and now they have decided to start working at the Rust Bucket, so it's like communications. Alright. Postal service. post office, mailboxes. Alright, so we need to at some point start to think about building a post office. Telecom. We can also add like a radio mast. Citizens automatically have access to basic radio, TV and internet. More advanced services can be built. Alright, so we can build like a radio tower, probably wireless nowadays. Let's build it into the noise complaint area so you get also radiation. There we go. Are we still budget positive? Yes, easily. So let's see about, does this have some kind of statistics? Noise pollution, alright. There is always demand for low density residential. How our farming business is doing actually, because we built the farm some time ago. I do think actually it was the game that crashed where we built the farm, so let's not buy a farm for now, because the computer bought the farm, like it is stated on the if you have the GNU herd kernel and you crash, the kernel panic message is EIEIO, and it says computer bought the farm, and we bought the farm, but actually the computer bought the farm, so let's not buy any farms for now, lest the computer buy the farm. Alright, so still like low density is mostly in demand, so low density it is for now. We probably have to gentrify it at some point, like that. Yes, no longer low density, let's increase the density. Alright, is this like the old, this is the urban promenades. It indeed looks quite big, like certainly pretty big, the urban promenades. To wonder how does the old town look like. To think we put also one bit of the old town in. That's normal low density. So would this be the old town because it's not even developing, or the urban promenades only development? There is demand also for commercial, because it includes a commercial anchor point also, so in that respect we also have to observe that part. Alright, let's see. There is always demand for the low density residential, but the problem is that we are at some point having to purchase more area because the problem is that transportation overview. We could start adding public transport at some point. There has been a traffic accident. Right. So we should see about practically, like there's the landfill, so we are not going to expand residential at least towards the landfill. So it would be interesting to at some point buy another map piece, because we have mostly filled up this map piece, and the problem is that if we need to add even more. There should be somewhere the facility to purchase more, do you think? Map tiles, yes. Tiles don't need to be connected, yeah? That sounds interesting.
And the hip-hop ran here, keeping you youngins up to
Natural resources, sure.
in the hood. Time for
New map
another
tiles
one.
will start to accrue an upkeep cost.
For a new hairdo, folks. So what
To buy new map tiles you need both money and expansion permits. Alright, we do have expansion permits for sure.
And there's an option. Of course.
Outside connections, yes.
Got into more fights than dresses. But it seems like
Do you think for now it would be actually nice to expand the
take it from me.
that has buildable area of half a square kilometer.
Thinking about hitting the streets, you can expect
Would be nice to probably expand in that direction. Like
Seems like everyone is in a hurry to get somewhere fast.
continue with the waterfront theme, so
And if you can, plan your trip outside.
how much this would cost?
Oh, I don't
Alright, it adds considerable upkeep also, like
Besides, if I did that,
let's for now do like single row.
the worst kind of luck there is. That's right. Today we are talking about the increased
Alright.
That's not exactly what an increased death rate means.
We couldn't earlier demolish the transformer building at all, like.
Are you trying to make people panic?
Alright, now it could be demolished.
Said panic. The death rate is skyrocketing. We've got to get out of here.
You go,
How do we have like the electricity
We'll be back after.
supply situation currently? Alright, we are still doing pretty well. The added wind power also certainly helped. Alright, justice for cars. We have added some bike paths, but it was also nice. Bike path through a forest or meadow would be nice. Sure. Alright, let's keep. Now that we have more space, let's continue with this. Pretty much the same way. There we go, so now we can add waterfront residential even. We are going waterfront. There we go, and then we also finally again have demand for industrial, so we can expand the industrial next to the landfill. Here we go. Now we can add more industrial. Which is the only thing currently in demand, so fair enough. There we go. Alright, we are up to 3 hours and do think that it's not yet so late that would feel it necessary to stop, as we do have pretty good amount of viewers. Let's do half an hour more and then we finish for tonight. Pretty good long stream also. Oh, hello there, Camu. We just have more dropping in, so clearly good that we just decided to continue. So let's greet you properly. Good to see you as always, our good bat. Very good to have you join also. Oh. Yeah, traffic recon. We had a car crash recently, but fortunately our efficient police took care of that. So yes, City Skylines II has mostly worked. It crashed once for some reason, so we have not built farms because the computer bought the farm as noted in GNU herd kernel. You have the kernel panic message EIEIO and it's just computer bought the farm. We bought some farms and then the computer bought the farm, so we haven't yet done that again. So let's then continue. Alright, and we again demand more residential. We just bought a new pit so we can construct even more like new beachfront luxury thingy. Pretty well, would say. We do think we are still even budget positive. Yes, easily. We should at some point add a few like firehouses, police stations and such more, but otherwise do think this has gone surprisingly well. Expected to be really towing the line with the budget, but it has been actually this far quite sane. So it's always low density residential. There we go, two new blocks. Alright, fire. Let's see where there is. Forest is on fire, alright. That's what really. It's like the other side of the map. Not very worried about forest fire. Somewhere like, yeah, the city is there. So no, the forest fire isn't going to be a major concern for us. Let's see how our fire and police coverage are doing. Pretty well. We do also have firehouse here. How's the police? We have only one police station. Here it starts to be like a bit more crime probability. We should probably here where we have the new housing also add a police station, because we only this far have one, so there we go. That should help with the amount of crime. Here we have a kind of like constant noise complaint, but it's partially also high density housing area, so not totally surprised. Alright, now there's no demand for anything specifically, so we could again save the game and putter around with the farms, because last time when we puttered around with the farms it went really well, so let's save the game. Computer buys the farm and hope we do better this time. We puttered around with the farms and then the whole thing decided to not continue functioning. Alright, great. Maybe smoke will lower air quality still. Yeah, that's true. Alright, we'll then also wave to you as you are leaving. It was great having you here also. Thank you for joining, and be well. So let's see about if we buy the farm, because we are still in quite low density scenario, so we could add some farms to our industrial area. We do have Chimkin and grain farming, and as Kamuniak probably likes, we do have also vegetable farming. So let's add some vegetable farming. Let's see if we should have arable land here, so let's add the farm right here. Then we should tune the area, but it's actually easier to tune when you have the like this, and then you use the area setting tool from the area window, specialized industry area tool, and then we can drag from here. So let's make it the size of the whole block. There we go. We can apparently also expand in this direction, so let's expand it a bit and see if they can actually like utilize this. Apparently there's like the circle that defines the harvestable resources, so there we go. That would be the maximum area. So there we go. So we have a vegetable farm. Let's see how that goes. So we do have company Leafy Greens produces vegetables. Alright, so now we are in the farming business. Looks quaint, kind of like not very big industrial thing when we look at it. And there we have the field for the vegetables. Alright, let's build a road next to our vegetable farm. There we go. And we can also build something next to the vegetable farm, a few buildings, so we can add probably not industrial would be ideal, so let's add like
Cheap and random.
Oh, we love the cheap and random flea market. We came here
high density housing
and the state
would be an interesting solution. You have 2 high density housing bits there. Let's see if they ever develop. And even more demand for the low density housing, so let's finish this extension in the meantime.
Cheap and red. You never know what you're gonna get, and you never will unless you come find out.
Welcome to Denny's Denims, where we got every denim you can imagine. We got square ends and foxtrots and hide-away at home dirty denims. Skirts and pants, belts and boots. We can cover you head to toe if that's what you like. Even got your dang old denim leg garters for the boys who love that denim real good.
Yeah, it's getting polluted.
You will have them swarming. You'll see.
Yeah, we can upgrade polluting buildings. We probably have pollution mostly in the area that we have done for the industry.
stacking fresh meats all
We should be able to also now build a bike path here, like we have tried to at least provide some bike infrastructure.
If you're thinking about hitting the streets, you can expect delays on the major roads, especially during rush hour.
Good to know, Jim. Seems like everyone is in a hurry to get somewhere fast. It's worth slowing down. And if you can, plan your trip outside the rush.
Oh, I know. I'd rather wait an hour in traffic than to have to start thinking about everything all the time. Besides, if I did that, I'd never get anywhere. We're live, and we're getting reports about a traffic accident
There we go.
somewhere in the city.
Road maintenance services have already been dispatched, and traffic flow should return to normal.
And then we zone more low density
You might want to wait.
residential as usual, and it's waterfront.
You already know about it. No use reminding you.
Alright, now we should have more than meet the demand.
Warm temperatures across the region today. Hope everybody out there has a good one.
Alright, looks like they are doing something on the farm. Yeah, greenhouses. Alright. Are they now like doing a profit? Yes, they are doing a profit, so very nice. Some vegetable farming. A lot like they instructed once there was at the cafeteria at the university. There was a complaint that you indeed carrots. There was the complaint that they tried to answer in English because the complaint was that every food you cook has pork. Then they replied, every day me has vegetable food, you can eat the vegetable food. Alright, so we produce the vegetable food and the symbol is a carrot. So alright, there's even some kind of farming tractor going around, so we can even get info panel on the tractor. harvest rig, farming. Can we then actually modify the color of the tractor? I would like a red tractor, please. Yes, and let's also change the other color bit, so there we go, now it's red. Micromanagement. Alright, we have demand for industrial, so might consider expanding this way, because it's kind of a problem if we put a lot of industry all around our vegetable farm. So let's expand here, so practically. Add a road here, that should also gradually help with the traffic issues if we add a road here. Alright, and now we can add some industrial. That probably dealt with that demand. Alright, we again have demand for offices. Have you built the previous office spot? Yes, now it's fully built. This never developed very far other than the fancy thing, and here we have only the elementary school. Let's see, did we... yeah, we... Let's add offices there, and this never developed, so that's also now offices. This hasn't been very popular area, like, yeah, it's noisy apparently. Energy drink bottling plant. Alright. A group of cottage industries have sprouted around our many vegetable farms. It seems that our local produce is delicious when infused with copious amounts of caffeine. Carrot energy drinks. Sounds good. Let's build the bottling plant here right next to the farm then. So there you go, Camus. Energy drink bottling plant. Golfer's Villa. When the golfer who lives here is not practicing their drive, the residents in the vicinity can safely stand in awe of the sight of this mansion. We earlier put the pop star right to their place, namely we put the pop star to the next to the sewage outlet, and we do not either respect terribly, like, yeah, these moneyed people. So the golfer gets their villa next to the landfill. We are not totally enamored by the famous fancy people. So golfer gets their villa right next to the landfill. And also here we have our pop star. There's the sewage outlet, and right next to it we have the pop musician mansion. So there you go. So our fancy golfer got their clearly very fancy villa right next to the landfill. So they are not very happy with the air pollution or the lack of entertainment or the high noise pollution. Oh well, that's what you get for asking to place your fancy expensive mansion. We could have another vegetable farm maybe, even, as our vegetable farming has been good for the energy drinks. So let's build another vegetable farm. Alright, let's also wish you a good night then, Jacks. There we have another vegetable farm, so we are making sure we produce a lot of vegetables for carrot energy drinks. That is pretty nice idea. So indeed, thank you for joining, Jacks, and let's wish you also a good night and do a posture check also at the same time. There we go. So thank you for joining and be well. Alright, and we are up to the 3.5 hours. So let's still continue a bit and then we finish. As said, that would do about 3.5 hours. So there we go. Now our vegetable farm is in place, so we can add to the edges. Here we added something like residential, but doesn't look like that is developing. Here we could actually, because we are starting to be further off from the industry and we are getting more green here overall, like suitability for residential. So let's add here some, like we have a lot of demand for the low density housing, so let's add some next to the farm. So residential suitability, that is not very residentially suitable, so let's actually try offices there next. There we go. Live next to the vegetable farm, healthy, you can get carrot every day. Alright, and now we have mostly demand for commercial, so let's see, do we have any areas that did not develop? That did not really develop, so let's see, did we already change that to commercial? No, let's make that commercial. That does develop, which is better. Indeed, apple. Very nice. Alright, the golfer isn't very happy about the noise from the landfill. Oh well. Let's see how our coverages and productions are doing. So we are still kind of like alright with the electricity availability. Water availability is good. How is the fire? Alright. It looks alright. We do have 3 fire stations. How's the police? Alright, we could use a police station also. We do have 2 police stations. We could use a police station somewhere. Somewhere right here. Like we do have pretty high crime incidents here in the industrial area, so we could use 1 more police station. There we go. Hopefully that helps with the crime.
I'd rather wait an hour in traffic than have to start thinking about everything all the time. Besides, if I did that, I'd never get anywhere. We're live, and we're getting reports about a traffic accident somewhere in the city.
Road maintenance services have already been dispatched, and traffic flow should return to normal. But if
we are getting reports about the traffic accident somewhere in the city. Very clear description. Alright, what other crafts would be interesting? Happiness, alright. Overall it looks like we do have pretty good happiness. Alright, there is like lower healthcare coverage here, which is not a total surprise because our healthcare facilities are elsewhere. Also here we have poor healthcare coverage, so we could add some healthcare facilities, like approximately here. Right, milestone, boom town. 7 Hills Residence, neoclassical building with an elegant facade and grand windows, originally commercial. It's now a sophisticated residential space. Its symmetrical design and ornate details make it a key landmark, blending historical charm with modern amenities in the heart of the city. Alright. We need to add road access here, so. And then we had the other side of the town also that we could use more healthcare right about here, so. Right, that's also missing road access, so maybe we built a healthcare facility in their place. We do have some bike infrastructure. Education availability is also like we we are not as such out of the elementary school slots, but we should probably build another one at some point here. How is our budget positivity? Yeah, we do have money for services. Let's solve that by building a school in the empty area. How is our coal power plant doing? Alright. We should at some point get rid of the coal, but it would require much more. Let's build a couple of wind turbines more. Alright, some additional sustainable power. New signature building available. Sports bar. Come on down to the sports bar and enjoy some sports and grab a case of energy drinks to take home, because due to legal and insurance requirements you can't actually drink our energy drinks here. Yes, too much carrot. Alright, so clearly the energy drink industry is pulling in profits, so let's see what would be good place for the sports bar. Most probably, like we had the extreme sports guys villa, so we could also build the sports bar by the beach. Let's see, can we put it here? How big is it? Yes, it can be built here. So it's by the waterfront. Carrot energy drinks sold. We are making maximum use of our waterfront. Passenger ship has 988 passengers. We again have demand only for the medium or low density housing, and now we have had enough low density housing building for tonight, so we are going to finish, and we of course now have energy drink sports, as we have attracted the energy drink industry and then also the sports bar. So clearly farming carrots and apples is paying off big time. There we go. Now we can exit the game and see who we will raid. There we are, and indeed we finished the game for tonight. A good, somewhat over almost 3.75 hours. So that was nice, and we actually got the city rather large and got a good leg up in the vegetable energy drink business. So some carrot energy drinking. Alright, and then we see who's doing what, so who we will raid. Let's see. Alright. Nice, very nice. Alright, Yuna is doing REPO, and we haven't really seen or raided Yuna for a good while, so let's see. Alright, they have done 4 hours already, but they are clearly very much awake and playing. It's been a while since we have really interacted with them, so let's raid them. It's been a while. No problem. Good night all. Thank you for joining, and we'll try to even publish a schedule for the coming week. We already doubled our streaming frequency from once every 2 weeks to once every Sunday. So do think we can still multiply it by a factor of few, because to actually now have pretty clear schedule for weeks for now. We'll be at Confassold from 21st, but that's still some time away, so do think it's good time to do more of streams also. So let's raid Yuna. Let's see if that works out. Yes, thank you all for joining, and see you later in the week.